All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the ERC meeting. It's Thursday, July 13th. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. It's 5 p.m. I'm gonna take roll call.
Point of order, it's 5:45.
Oh, sorry, I was reading this.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry. 5:45, 5:47 p.m. as the clock says right here. I'm gonna take roll call. There's 3 commissioners that are not able to attend today. Alder Hutchison, Commissioner Guzman, and Commissioner Vincent. And then, if you are here today, please unmute yourself if you're online, or if you're over the phone, please, stay here. Commissioner Shelton,
Here,
Commissioner San. Commissioner Hassan, hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Commissioner Ortiz,
Hi, I'm here.
and then Commissioner Bruno.
Here.
Okay, great. And then moving forward, can I get a motion to approve the agenda for today, July 13th, 2023?
so moved.
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. All right, so the agenda is approved for today. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for our meeting on June 8th, 2023?
so
I move.
second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Okay, so the minutes are approved for June 8th. So moving into regular business, as you all know, in our last meeting, we talked about the draft Equal Rights Visibility Strategy Initiative. And I received great feedback, so I tried to revise this and reorganize it in a way that made more sense. But this is going to be the second round of revision, so please, give me the feedback. I'm going to walk you guys through it because it is a little different from the first version. But so you'll see, of course, the introduction on page 3, it starts with the introduction, the mission and vision. We talked about that section. Section 2, the goals, we went through that. And everyone agreed on those areas. And I switched section 3, I put messaging, and what that means is how we are going to present ourselves, or how are we going to be united when we go and speak. And so I left that blank because I want feedback from everyone, but obviously gonna contain a lot of the information that's in the ordinance already itself. But I also want some input from the commissioners on what type of messaging or how we can present ourselves. And then we'll come back to that. So I'm gonna go through all the new sections here. Section 4, I changed this section. This was the section that we worked on last time, infrastructure, target audience, outreach method, and strategies. I reorganized it to so that it makes a little bit more sense. The part that I wanted to focus on was the outreach method and strategies on page 6. So you'll see there's 3 columns: outreach method, the strategy, and then the degree of effort. And the degree of effort doesn't correlate with like, let's say, it doesn't correlate with the amount of, or the priority. What it really does correlate with is, or what it means is, if it takes a lot of coordination or not. Because the less coordination, that means you get it completed sooner. But that section, actually, after I went through the other section, that third column might disappear. So there's that's section 4. If you move to page 8, you go into section 5, evaluation methods. So obviously we want to write a report on our initiative at the end, and we want to, each time we go and speak publicly or speak to someone, we want to make sure that we're getting their input and feedback about how we're doing as a commission. And so I wanted input from the commissioners on how you think that would be most effective, or how can we implement things to get feedback from people, whether it's surveys, whether it's like public polls on Facebook, if we can do that, just different ideas to help us kind of put metrics into our efforts. section 6, we go into the outreach phase plan, page 9. There's 5 different phases that I wrote in here, to help us be better prepared when we actually go out and engage with the community. Phase 1, you'll see it's internal updates, so we still need to update the website. There still needs to be resource links added. Our bios still need to be updated. Our emails, I'd like for commissioners, if you're emailing on behalf of the ERC, I think it'd be great if we can have our emails represent who we are as a commission and have the city logo on there, maybe. Business cards, I talked to Joe about that. I think that's really important to have, especially if we're talking to, for instance, landlords or things like that. It'd be great to have those. Phase 2, create the evaluation document. I left that one blank, obviously, because section 5, the evaluation method, we are gonna discuss that. Phase 3, formal ERC introduction to the public. So that's us going and engaging with the public. There's, the method, social media, obviously, I don't know, last time we spoke to Joe, we asked about social media and Joe said, he has to talk to the legal team to see if we can create our own Facebook page. But if not, that just means we can just collaborate with like the community and, what is that? The community engagement or department here.
Public relations team.
Yes, but the Facebook page,
Oh.
is the community development or community.
And economic development.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think that would be the Facebook page that we would use, right?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'll find out for you.
Yeah, so anyway, so that, that's one method of us trying to, reach out to the public a little bit, better. And so on the right side, you'll see like there's the activity column that just kind of explains a little bit more in detail what we'll be doing with that method. And then on page 10, phase 5 is the overall, oops. Yes, sorry. Page 10, phase 5, is the overall evaluation report. So obviously we want to put together who we met, who we talked to, the amount of people that we've met with. And so just the different data and metrics. We want to put that together so we can present that to council. So that's the last phase. And then page 11, section 7, the timeline. So this is gonna tell you, or this is gonna give you a little picture of what we're gonna do each month. And obviously, keeping in mind that there's events or there's speaking engagements that pop up every now and then that won't be, that we won't be able to add into this packet. And those will just be ad hoc and, we'll make sure that that ends up in the end report. But it's a little bit lengthier than I anticipated, and it has a lot of details. So I know it's probably overwhelming, but before we dig into getting some of the input from the commissioners, does anyone have questions? Commissioner Hassan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, sorry, I should have asked you earlier. We're looking at the packets. I sent in the email earlier today. There's a packet that's attached to the agenda. It's what we discussed last meeting, but it's an updated version.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Are you able to pull that packet up?
No, I can't. I'm driving.
Oh, okay, that's all right. That's okay. Just would love your feedback when you have time to review it.
I will do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So I'm gonna bring us back to section 3, the messaging, page 5. So is everyone on board if I utilize some of the ordinance pieces in this?
I have no objection.
Okay.
Can you just, this all looks great, by the way. Tell us again what you're trying to accomplish with this messaging section?
Yep, so this is basically just reminding us who we are as a ERC and how we want to present ourselves to the outside.
Got it.
When we go and engage with groups. So if, you're meeting with someone just for 30 minutes, you can just look back at it and say, oh, these are the top points that I want to make sure that
So this is a set of talking points, not like a set of tasks.
yeah, talking
Got it.
points, yeah, exactly. So if you guys have any input or any talking points that you think should be, priority, then let me know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll let you guys kind of think about that, email me, if you guys have any ideas, otherwise I'm gonna utilize the ordinance.
I think you could also use some stuff from the housing report too, like, obviously like. It's not. Some of that is specific to housing, but some of those, I think, value statements that we put in there could be things that you could bring in.
Thank you, yes. Any other suggestions for page 5, section 3, messaging?
Is there anything from the mayor that I think we want to have in this? I mean, aside from just what we've already kind of put out there.
I think that making sure that the anti-discrimination language that we have is prominent. I think it's an important key piece of the Equal Rights Commission is being quite clear that your role in the protected categories that go from the US Constitution all the way down to city statutes. I think that's important for people to know that they can do that. And if you establish any processes, if there's ways for you, if you decide as a body to have a complaint form or a way to reach out to you, or a very clear way and method to inform the public on how to engage you, either in a very formal process or an informal way. So I think those would be really important.
Thank you, yes, these are really great things. I think we still have to kind of talk to Joe about the best way to contact the ERC. I know that he left his phone number on the website, so people are, if they go to the website, they'll be calling him, but I don't know if that's like, the direction that we want to go in, or if there's a better process. So that's good point. Or maybe we can have our own ERC email, or is that too much? I don't know who would
You can-
manage it, but
You can have,
yeah.
it'd probably be Jim.
Okay,
I
all right. I'll ask
mean-
Joe before I throw out too many ideas out there.
And you may be able to ask Joe and our IT department if there's a way where I believe you all get city emails. Do commissioners get
No,
city emails? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so you get notified on your personal emails for the city business.
Yeah. I don't, I feel the same thing. But we'll talk to Joe. Okay, so if there's no further feedback, input, or discussion on that section, I'm gonna move forward.
Actually, one other quick thing, I think it would also be good for us to make sure that people know, like, unlike some other commissions, like, we can't like adjudicate complaints, right? That what we have primarily is like, the ability to elevate things, to advocate, but, we can't adjudicate complaints like they can in like Milwaukee. And so, I think that's important for people to.
Good point. Thank you, that was really helpful. So we're gonna move on to, just quickly, briefly, section 4, which is what we talked about the last meeting. Do you guys have any questions about that? I switched it up, I categorized it into outreach methods and then the strategy, which is basically, what we would do with that method. And then the degree of effort, the reason why I left that column there was just to help me kind of prioritize what we need to get done first. But I mean, if it doesn't make sense, then I'll can just stick it out.
You know, I have a question in relation to some of the responsibilities, and I remember that when we have the recent discussion about the closing of some schools, that we were communicated that if we were to participate in that forum, we could not identify ourselves as members of this commission. And I see here that we're saying that, you know, as members of this, as commissioners, we're going to participate in all these different things, you know. And so I guess my question is that it's not clear in my mind, when can we be representing the city, or when, or what are the limitations, etc., etc. I mean, that entire situation was a little bit, it was news to me that we could not participate or voice our concern and identify ourselves as members of the commission. And at the same time, we're drafting this document to give us, to grant us visibility, and we're saying we're going to go to, you know, fora, or, and you know, and I wonder if we can get some clarification of when it is that we're representing the commission and when we're just representing ourselves, or.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say that that's a really great point. Thank you for that, for bringing that to our attention. So I just wanted to kind of clarify. It kind of goes to what John was saying earlier, where we can't necessarily intervene and investigate complaints. And so with the school board, that one is because that's state. The school is a state entity, and we are a local entity, so we just can't cross that. We can't, how should I put it? There's legal ramifications behind that. So
Yeah.
I think if we got maybe, you know, for you know, for us to better understand that, maybe we can have Joe share a little bit more about that. But basically that was just because we're a local entity that we can't intervene with a state entity. There's legal issues with that. But you can always present yourself as a resident of Green Bay and then speak at those events. But I do understand your concern. And I think that, yes, we should definitely write that in this report, what our limitations are.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that the nature of this report is to, as the title say, to give ourselves visibility, right? And we're listing a bunch of different things that are, you know, clarifying our presence in different community events, etc. But what I learned from the last issue that we took upon ourselves was that we could not say that we were members of the commission, or at least we couldn't be representing the commission at the you know, meeting, the forum. You know, so I mean, we're drafting this. I think that this document is very good to give us an internal clarity, right, as a group of the type of things, and to give us some direction, the type of things that we want to do and need to do. But on the other hand, you know, I think our visibility, how can I put it? But you know, I mean, there's some boundaries that need to be clarified. I think if we're going to be going to you know, to fora and reaching out to community partners and participating in different events, etc. You know, we need to have those. And maybe Joe is the one that can find those for us, and we can incorporate that in the document, or at least have that clarity. You know, when.
So I think one of the issues, at least as I understood it, and I'm not an attorney, but it's that, you know, things that the individual commissioners might have said about the issue with the school district might have been taken as recommendations about policy that then could cause issues with the jurisdiction, as Tara was saying, between the school district and the city. So I think as what's in this document, you know, I think things like if we were to host a panel discussion about inequality in the city at a local, you know, school in collaboration with the school district, that's not going to be an issue for us because we're not advocating for specific policies that have the jurisdiction of the school district. That's kind of my, again, I'm not an attorney, and we should check with Joe to like make sure that that's everybody's understanding, but like I think that's kind of the difference. And so I think we can partner as long as we're not, you know, saying that like somebody should, another governmental entity that's not ours should take specific actions, right? Because when, as we did with the commission report on housing, we recommended a bunch of things that we thought the city should do. It's when you go and recommend that a different unit of government should take certain actions. I think that's what ultimately people will worry about. I think we can kind of think about this document. Well, we're in terms of visibility and education, that's the big thing, not trying to tell other units of government what they should be doing.
Okay, so sorry for everyone who is joining us online. We had a power outage just a few minutes ago, so we're still getting things up and rebooted here, but I think we are set to start the meeting again. It is 6:15 p.m. right now. And just to reiterate, just in case, we have Commissioner Ortiz, Commissioner Reno, Commissioner Shelton, and Commissioner Hassan here with us. All right, so going back to the last points we were talking about, so we're going to get some clarification from Joe and get some updates about how we can, or how we what our limitations are when we go and engage with the public. And I'll add that into this package once we hear back. But does anyone else have any other inputs for this outreach method and strategy section?
I mean, I'll just reiterate what I said last time. There's a lot of things here. And so, you know, the real difficulty is going to be figuring out like which ones to prioritize.
Yeah.
And I know we've got the different phases, but you know, there's a lot of things here in terms of forums and local collaborations. This is enough to keep a commission busy for a very long time.
Yep. So that's where the third column, the degree of effort, comes into play. It really tells us what we can get done quickly. That takes low coordination, low effort. And again, that's not in relation to priority. All of these options, or all of these things are very important. But it just kind of gives us an idea of what we can accomplish first. And so that's a good leadway to. Sorry, we actually are not going to section 6. But yes, John. So with that, I also wanted to add for this section, it's listing the different outreach methods, not necessarily saying we're going to do all of it. It's just giving us things that we can do, right? And so it's, you know, if you look at page 7 forums, there's like 5 different bullet points there. This is not saying that we are going to do all of it, that we have to do all of it. It's that we pick a priority, and maybe we only do one bullet point. Maybe we don't do any forums. Maybe we go do educational things with the schools district. So again, this is just a list of possibilities. And it keeps us, it helps us brainstorm when we're actually gonna be doing activities. Any other input for that section? If not, I'm gonna move on to page 8, section 5, the evaluation method. Or methods. Okay, so I was hoping to get input from the commission about ways that we can get input. Or do you guys think it's easier and more efficient just to ask at the end of each time that we go and engage with the public? Is it just easier if we ask them, how can we help you, or how can we better, support your organization just by word of mouth? Or should we have something formal? Should we have a survey or a document that we hand them and have them fill it out and email it back to us, or fill it out on the spot and, we take it back with us? What's the best way to make sure that people are actually understanding that we exist as an ERC or as an entity? That our initiative is effective.
I think that maybe have a survey added to our website and to direct people there for feedback. I mean, we can always, one of the questions could be what type of engagement relation have you with the ERC, and then your level of satisfaction with, I mean, we can design 4 or 5 questions that we can create a composite of, how the community is perceiving the work we're doing. So, I mean, I think that that could be, that could be something that can be placed in the website.
So I know on the website right now, they're able to send us input just by doing a simple email or filling out this little comment box, right? I don't know who that gets sent to though. To Joe. It goes straight to Joe. Okay. So we do have that, but it's not specific questions and it's not in the survey form. Would that be something that we're able to add onto the website, Shelby? I think, are you the one who does all the web development? Okay. Yep. Yeah, so Shelby would be able to tell us, what we can and cannot, or the capabilities of it, but, okay, so that sounds like that's an option. Any other inputs or feedback?
That's a good idea. I mean, you could even have it on a piece of paper with or QR code, or if we have anything that we show with a QR code, and just ask people and have it pretty expansive. What are some things that you would like to see the university do? What are some things that didn't get to in this conversation? That kind of thing.
Awesome. Love those ideas. So it sounds like, we want multiple ways to collect feedback and get input through the website, survey on the website, or whether it be, and also having something that's tangible that we can hand to people or that people can take with them and scan later on. So any other ways that you guys think would be really effective to collect information? How we can better engage and support the community. All right, so then I'm going to move on to section 6, the outreach phase plan, page 9. So these, what I wrote in here, these are just examples. These are in no way what we have to do, but the phase plan would just helps us kind of get things started and make sure our ducks are in a row. So phase 1 is the internal updates. Again, that's the website, our emails, business cards, and then another thing that we can add in there, if we have this person in position by the next couple of weeks here, they can support us in creating like pamphlets, the survey QR stuff, the survey on the website. So a lot of things that the staff, that will need staff support on. That goes into that internal update. And that's really helpful so that once we go and engage with groups where we have a united front and we all have the same messaging and we have a place to send them to. Because right now I feel like when I talk to people, even if I send them to our web page, it just isn't helpful for them. So once we get all this down, I think I would feel more confident talking to people and having a place to send them to. All right, so phase 2, create the evaluation document. That is gonna again be a lot of staff support that we're going to be needing to create that. Again, the idea is for the QR code, or the QR bar, and then we have these survey that could go on the website. So that's phase 2. Phase 3 would be a formal ERC introduction to the public. So we can use social media. We can post a picture of the commissioners on, if we're able to create a Facebook page or whoever we collaborate with, post it on their Facebook page. We can email. I think we're able to email, right? Just to say, hey, the ERC exists. We can do that, right?
Email who?
I don't know, just anyone who we talk to.
Yeah, we can do this.
Or newsletter, yeah. Whatever works, just an example, I'm just saying some things. And then, maybe pitch to the news outlets and do a story about us or something like that. So these are just ideas, but that's just, phase 3 is formally introducing us to the public, because I feel like we didn't really get that in the beginning. And then phase 4, the external engagement, that's when we actually go and really be present in public spaces and organization offices. So really just engaging with the public. And I didn't fill that out just because there's a lot. But phase 5, then we just talked about the evaluation and the report. So that area I left blank. I'll fill that out with the feedback that we got today. And does anyone have questions about the phases? Again, this is just an example, and these are just helping us better organize and prioritize what can be done quickly, right away, and yeah.
It just occurs to me that part of this process could be to have at least a biannual bulletin or something of things that we've done that could be either in the webpage or it could be printed and left, at the public library or at certain venues where, like this is the Equal Rights Commission, and these are the things that we've done, something like that. I mean, it could be a summary of what we've done in every 6 months, so that the public knows what type of things we're accomplishing. Or I don't know if you think that's a good idea or is adding more work to.
No, I think that's an excellent idea. I think we brought that up during the website updates discussion. That there's a section in there that kind of talks about our current initiatives, but I mean, it's improved and we can add more to it. But I think that's a great idea. I don't know if we have the budget to print out like pamphlets and things to share what we've worked on. I don't know if we worked on.
Yeah, it could be a 1-page, like like with some information about what the commission has done or what type of things we've been involved in. I don't know. I mean, maybe we can send a print copy upon request and then put something on the website. But I think that will summarize things for the public at large, that they could see yeah, the type of initiatives that we've been involved in, you know, like I say, every 6 months we can put it together and share it with the public.
I think the one pager is really important, and, you know, just looking at like Hispanic Heritage Month Festival on September 15th. We're gonna have commissioners there speaking, we should have something like that, and translated into Spanish, obviously.
Mhm.
So that, you know, like, obviously we'll talk about what we do, but like. Have them know, like, you know, this is. Like, I think it would be important to say, like, appointed by Mayor Genrich, here's when the commission.
Mhm.
Put out, you know, when it was formed, these are the things that we do, these are the things that we're interested in working on. If you have questions about this or feedback about this, here's who you contact. I think a nice one pager like that would be really, really good, actually.
Yeah, and
Including, would you like to be a commissioner in the future? You know, I mean, part of this could be not just what we're doing, but if we're opening doors for people to come forward, and then we can send suggestions to the mayor. You know, these are certain community members that have indicated a desire to serve. I mean, the part of I guess our role is to encourage civic participation to members of our community that feel disfranchised from the discourse. So I think that showing what we're doing and inviting that participation, you know, would you like to be part of this commission in the future? And, you know, it will be a good way to encourage that.
Great idea.
yeah, so that'll be in phase 1 where we have staff support, and help with
Yeah.
things. Right, we want to make sure that we have, information that we can hand out and share with the public.
Mhm.
Because right now, currently, when we go and talk to them, we don't have anything, so that would.
Mhm.
Phase 1, we'll get some staff support, hopefully we have a person hired on. In that area,
For where?
to support Joe in this, the rights position,
Oh, okay, yes.
so hopefully we can.
We,
have-
yeah, we have, can I put that? Yeah, it's good. Oh,
So, yeah, so that, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I will definitely make sure to add that into this, phase 1 section to make sure that we have staff creating, pamphlets, documents, one pagers. Yeah, and then in the marketing world, we call it a romance copy. So what that means is that, you know, the one pager is the basics about what ERC is, but then, you know, possibly if the staff person has time, we can have them do the updates every couple of months or every 6 months or so too. All right, thank you for that. Anything else that I need to add on here or take away, or that it doesn't make sense? in this?
Bothering you, but the elevator ain't working, that blackout we had.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call Andy, and I could just try them on all floors, and they're not working. Either.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for letting
Thank
us
you.
know. All right, so,
Sorry about the blackout.
no, that's okay, that was out of our control, who would have known, I mean, all right. All right, so I'm gonna move forward, to page 11, section 7, the timeline. Obviously, we can't really fill this out much yet, but, I just filled out some examples. So, you know, the website updates, we've been talking about that for the past, like, for a while now, but if we put actually, you know, a time frame on it, we can probably get that done quickly. And I'm still waiting on a few bios from some commissioners as well, so please send me an update, with your photo and bio. So I can share that with Shelby to update the website. And then. Once we get that done, we can notify the public of the ERC webpage, we can share it onto social media, send it out to the news outlets. Pitch a story with them, so these are just ideas. Again, these are just examples, I just filled it out just so that you guys can understand what goes in each of these columns. And then, you know, for example, if you go to page 12, you'll see the Hispanic Heritage Month Festival. And again, the date is just an example date, because that's not the exact date. I don't think that they're hosting it on, I'm not sure, but
It's the first day of this. Heritage Month.
that's why I wrote it there, but I don't know what the exact date that they're gonna be hosting the festival on is. So I just,
I think it's the 16th, actually.
okay. So again, this is just an example. I wrote example date there. This is not set in stone. This is not the exact date. Yeah. So do you guys have any questions on that? And the columns, you'll see the activity, the date, the method of outreach, the strategy, how we're gonna utilize that method, and then the staff support, what we need staff to help us do with those strategies. And I'll quickly run through, like, for example, September, the activity is the Hispanic Heritage Month Festival. The dates now we know is September 16th. The methods of outreach we're going to utilize for ERC is social media. We want to post and highlight that event on our Facebook page. Maybe post a picture of the event or the flyer they have and post a link so that people can find more information. On our webpage, we can also add it onto our webpage too. And then the community events will obviously have commissioners attend and then have select commissioners speak. If you know, the event coordinators have room for us to speak. And then the staff supports with social media, what we need them to do is create and post the photo, add the link. They'll be basically doing the logistics of stuff. We'll be creating the ideas and then they'll be doing logistics. And we'll support them. But yes, does anyone have questions about how I organize this? I can reorganize it so it makes sense to everyone, but this is just what I quickly did together.
Looks really good.
Okay. And is it too much or? Okay. So it is right now, 6:36. I'm going to ask, for the commission to, I'm not sure what the correct terminology is, but to have this, to place this on file for the next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say
Aye.
Aye.
all opposed, please say nay. All right, so we're gonna, I'll work dates for this and then we'll discuss this draft next meeting. So moving forward, the next part of the agenda is informational. So we're gonna have an update on the city submitting information on the human rights campaign for the Municipal Equality Index. And just a refresher, that's the score that we received, talking about the discrimination and how we're working towards equality. But sorry, Ahmad, I'm gonna have you speak a little bit on that.
So as folks are reminded, every year, since the mayor has been elected, we have been submitting a score for Municipal Equality Index, which measures our inclusiveness and welcoming through policies and practices and leadership to the LGBTQ plus community. We are planning on getting to 100, which many of you participated in. That was before Common Council, a pathway to getting to 100. So we are going to be submitting all the materials necessary to do that, that both adheres to all federal, state, and local anti-discrimination policies and protected classes. But we will be submitting those shortly, and then we will be receiving this summer our score. Our dream and our hope, with your support and with that we presented to Common Council, was that we would be on a pathway to 100. And as a reminder, we're at the highest that we have ever been. We have quadrupled our score over the last 4 years. We are at 92, I believe.
Wow. Wow.
the mayor first was elected, we were at 28. And so that is thanks to both the residents of this community and leaders like yours that we are putting into place our values and policies and structures. And so we look forward to getting to 100 and showing folks that Northeast Wisconsin can be inclusive and welcoming as well.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
the update. Yes, thank you so much for the update. And again, I spoke to Joe earlier this week, and they've been continuously reviewing the scorecard, how to improve, how to get that score up. So thank you guys for doing the work.
It's very much worth celebrating. Is there anything we can do as a commission to help?
I do think that we should, set some time aside. I think there are elements of getting to 100 that are gonna require potential policy changes. There is an area for leadership. The creation, for example, of Equal Rights Commission was actually one of the many criteria that was included in that in its membership. So there are ways in which there are categories for leadership and other elements that the Equal Rights Commission and the city could potentially do more in. So we could talk more about that at a different time, but I think there's always, we're not at 100 yet, so there's ways for us to do that with your help.
Yeah, we definitely want to help.
I'll make sure to jot that note down and make sure that we. All right, anything else in regards to the EMI scorecard? Okay, so I'm gonna move forward with number 2 under informational, which is the chair updates. I don't have much to update. My only update is that the speakers that we're hoping to have come share a little bit more about the commission, the Milwaukee ERC and the Madison ERC. We just heard back from the Milwaukee one, and we're hoping to get them in August. And then the Madison one, we're still working on trying to get in contact with them. We have their contact, but we just haven't heard back. So hopefully they'll be able to join us for August too. But that's the update that I have. And then, again, we are working on this initiative, the visibility initiative. However, that doesn't mean that you can't go out to different farmers markets and introduce yourself as that, as a commissioner, and just, share what we're working on. So meanwhile, while we're still working on this, I encourage you guys to attend the farmers markets. There's the Fridays on the Fox, there's the Ignite markets once a month, things like that you can participate in. Other activities around town, please feel free to do so too, while we're still working on this. But that's all I have for updates.
Question. Will we be able to get a table at the farmers market?
I think so, yeah, free table.
Have a couple of us there,
Okay, let me,
especially once we have a 1-page kind of thing. Not that we'd have to do it every week, but if a couple people felt like doing it.
Reminder that if you do have enough members there, that you would have to notice it to the hall.
Well, we got 5 here.
I'm just aiming an important point that, if there is enough people there that could meet potential quorum, that you have to notice it.
I always think we just have a couple of people.
yeah, no, that's a really great point. I will contact the market manager and then see if we can fit in. It goes until October. And so, that's gonna take a little bit to get the 1-pager. September, end of August, September.
I definitely would volunteer to do it, as long as somebody else is with me.
Oh, I would definitely do it. Yeah.
Maybe Marcus, if he's ever gets back in town.
Oh, John, you talk so much.
That's a good point, though. All right. Okay, so that's all I have for my updates. I'm just gonna ask commissioners if you guys have any other events or points that you guys wanted to share with us before we adjourn.
Just update on progress. I did send a memo over, but I know I got it a little bit later than I wanted to, so I'm hoping that we can kind of bring it up in the next meeting in August. But I'll probably add a little more to it. But if you have any feedback, please let me know. I know I sent it to you, Tara, to Joe's email, John's. Those are pretty much the only 3 I have. So I I think I could probably find another thread and send it back out again. But anyways, it revolving around the whole idea of different names that people call Green Bay in their languages. So that's kind of the premise of the proposal, but I'm totally fine talking about it next month. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Sorry, I didn't see that come through my email. I'll have to look for that. And then I will.
I literally said it at 5:23. So I was like, I'm not expecting it to be brought up tonight. So it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, yeah, I'll make sure that Joe adds that to the next agenda for August. And then are you looking for feedback on the proposal, or are you just sharing that document?
Yeah, yes, please. Leading up to August meeting and obviously August's meeting as well. Like I said, I think I have a thread of everybody's email from an old email chain that I can just kind of resend it out. But I just sent it to your three because I knew it like off the top of my head of what your emails were. So, but yeah, just mostly feedback. Always open to brainstorming more around the idea, maybe flesh it out more. But just the just a 1-page memo I put together. So yeah, that's pretty much where it's at. But I'm looking forward to pushing it along. I need your guys' help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing that and putting it together. We'll definitely take a look at that, and then I'll have Joe add it to the next agenda. Unless John, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm just looking at it now. It's very interesting.
And then also I will resend out earlier this year I sent out a roster with all of our information, all the commissioners' information, but I'll resend that out just so that we all have that again. So look, yeah, so keep an eye out on your email for that information. Anyone else have any other?
Thank you, Tara.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so I don't hear anyone else speaking up, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed,
Bye.
all opposed, please say nay. All right, so the meeting is adjourned.
Say you got that.
Thank you.